Welcome to Framework, the podcast that makes the NIST cybersecurity framework practical, engaging, and accessible. Whether you're a cybersecurity professional, business leader, or simply curious about how organizations defend against cyber threats, this series is for you. This podcast is inspired by a comprehensive guide to the NIST Cybersecurity Framework 2.0, a best-selling resource written by cybersecurity expert Dr. Jason Edwards and trusted by professionals worldwide. In each episode, we'll leverage a few insights from Jason's extensive book to dive deep into CSF 2.0, unpacking every function, category, and subcategory with real-world applications you can immediately use. If you're enjoying this episode and want to learn more, head over to cyberauthor.me to grab your copy of the book and access additional resources to enhance your cybersecurity journey. You can also visit baremetalcyber.com, where over 2 million people last year explored expert insights, articles, and practical tools across a wide range of cybersecurity topics. PR.PS-06 personnel security is monitored. PR.PS-06 ensures that organizations continuously monitor personnel security to detect and mitigate insider threats, unauthorized access, and policy violations. This subcategory belongs to the Protect function within the National Institute of Standards and Technology Cybersecurity Framework, version 2.0, emphasizing that security is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. Organizations must implement real-time monitoring, behavioral analytics, and access audits to detect suspicious activity, compromised accounts, and insider risks before they escalate into security incidents. Monitoring personnel security is critical to preventing data breaches, enforcing compliance, and ensuring that employees, contractors, and third-party personnel adhere to security policies. Employees often handle sensitive customer data, financial records, or intellectual property, making them potential targets for cybercriminals or internal misuse. Without continuous monitoring, organizations cannot detect insider threats, unauthorized data transfers, or security policy violations in real time, increasing the likelihood of data leaks, fraud, or system compromises. Implementing security analytics, behavior-based monitoring, and anomaly detection ensures that personnel activity is tracked, logged, and analyzed for signs of malicious intent or policy non-compliance. Multiple stakeholders play a role in personnel security monitoring. IT and cybersecurity teams oversee real-time access monitoring, identity verification, and insider threat detection, ensuring that personnel do not misuse privileged access or violate security policies. Human resources teams collaborate with security teams to identify personnel risks, such as sudden financial distress, behavioral changes, or unauthorized data access attempts. Legal and compliance teams ensure that monitoring practices adhere to privacy laws, data protection regulations, and industry-specific cybersecurity mandates, preventing legal risks and regulatory violations. Personnel security is monitored through access controls, user behavior analytics, and real-time security alerts to detect anomalies, policy violations, and insider threats. This includes tracking login activity, monitoring privileged account usage, auditing access logs, and enforcing automated alerts when security policies are violated. Organizations that fail to implement continuous personnel monitoring risk delayed threat detection, unauthorized data access, and compliance failures, increasing the likelihood of security incidents and regulatory penalties. Several key terms define personnel security monitoring and its role in cybersecurity. User and Entity Behavior Analytics, UBA, leverages machine learning to detect unusual login patterns, unauthorized data transfers, and high-risk employee behaviors. Privileged Access Management, PAM, enforces strict security controls for employees and contractors with administrative privileges, reducing the risk of misuse or abuse of critical systems. Real-time security information and event management, CM collects and analyzes security logs across the organization, providing instant alerts for suspicious activities. Anomaly detection systems identify deviations from normal personnel behavior, helping security teams detect compromised accounts or insider threats. Audit logging records all personnel security events, ensuring that organizations can trace actions back to individual users for forensic investigations and compliance audits. Misconceptions about personnel security monitoring often lead to gaps in security enforcement, privacy concerns, and delayed threat detection. One common issue is assuming that security monitoring is only necessary for privileged users, ignoring the fact that regular employees can also be exploited through social engineering or accidental data mishandling. Another issue is relying solely on periodic access audits, without implementing real-time behavior analytics to detect emerging threats. Some organizations mistakenly believe that monitoring personnel activity violates privacy laws, without realizing that security monitoring can be implemented in compliance with legal and regulatory frameworks through transparent policies and data protection safeguards. When organizations properly monitor personnel security, they reduce insider threats, prevent unauthorized access, and strengthen compliance with security policies. Continuous monitoring allows security teams to detect and respond to threats in real time, minimizing the impact of security incidents and ensuring that all personnel follow cybersecurity best practices. Organizations that invest in automated security monitoring tools, proactive risk assessments, and behavior analytics build a stronger, more resilient cybersecurity environment that proactively detects and mitigates security risks. Organizations that fail to monitor personnel security effectively face significant risks, including undetected insider threats, unauthorized access, and regulatory noncompliance. Without proper monitoring, employees, contractors, or third-party personnel may exfiltrate sensitive data, abuse privileged access, or engage in fraudulent activities without being detected. A common risk is delayed threat detection, where security teams only discover breaches after significant damage has occurred, increasing the cost and complexity of incident response. Additionally, inconsistent monitoring policies can lead to gaps in security enforcement, where some employees are subject to strict access controls while others operate without oversight, leaving organizations vulnerable to policy violations and data leaks. By implementing continuous personnel security monitoring, organizations can detect and mitigate security threats in real time, enforce compliance with security policies, and enhance overall workforce security. Security monitoring allows organizations to identify suspicious login attempts, track unusual data access patterns, and respond quickly to potential insider threats. Organizations that integrate behavior analytics and access monitoring into their security frameworks strengthen cybersecurity resilience, improve threat visibility, and reduce the risk of undetected security incidents. Additionally, by establishing clear monitoring policies, organizations ensure that employees understand the role of security monitoring in protecting sensitive data, fostering a culture of accountability and compliance. At the partial tier, organizations lack structured personnel security monitoring policies and may only conduct security audits on an as-needed basis, leading to reactive security measures. There may be no real-time monitoring tools in place, making it difficult to detect suspicious activities or policy violations as they occur. A small business at this level might manually review access logs only after a security incident happens, rather than implementing proactive monitoring tools to detect unauthorized access attempts before they escalate into security breaches. At the risk-informed tier, organizations begin to implement basic security monitoring practices, such as log reviews and periodic access audits, ensuring that security teams can identify unauthorized access attempts over time. However, monitoring may still be manual and inconsistent, with security teams relying on after-the-fact analysis instead of real-time threat detection. A mid-sized company at this level may conduct monthly access reviews to verify that employees and contractors only have the permissions they need, but lack automated alerts for unauthorized data access or behavioral anomalies. At the repeatable tier, organizations establish fully integrated personnel security monitoring frameworks, ensuring that all employees, contractors, and third-party personnel are continuously monitored for security threats. Security teams leverage automated access tracking, behavioral analytics, and security event logging, ensuring that deviations from normal user behavior are detected and investigated promptly. A financial institution at this level may implement privileged access monitoring for employees handling financial transactions, ensuring that anomalous transactions or policy violations trigger immediate security alerts. At the adaptive tier, organizations integrate artificial intelligence-driven threat detection, continuous monitoring, and real-time access verification into their personnel security framework. Security teams automate the identification of insider threats, dynamically adjust access controls based on behavioral risk factors, and use predictive analytics to detect security threats before they materialize. A global technology firm at this level may use AI-driven anomaly detection to continuously assess workforce security, identifying employees exhibiting unusual access patterns, data movement behaviors, or attempted privilege escalations. Personnel security monitoring aligns with multiple controls in the National Institute of Standards and Technology Special Publication 800-53, ensuring that organizations establish structured workforce security monitoring practices. One critical control is AU-6, audit log monitoring, which requires organizations to track and analyze security logs for suspicious activity, unauthorized access attempts, and security policy violations. A healthcare provider implementing this control may use real-time security information and event management (SIEM) systems to monitor electronic health record access logs, ensuring that patient data is only accessed by authorized personnel. Another key control is PR.PS-07, continuous security monitoring, which mandates that organizations implement real-time monitoring tools to detect and respond to security threats as they occur. This control ensures that organizations track user activity, detect anomalous behavior, and generate security alerts when personnel engage in high-risk activities. A financial institution implementing this control may deploy user behavior analytics tools to detect employees attempting to access unauthorized financial accounts or exporting sensitive transaction data. Personnel security monitoring also aligns with IA-4 identifier management, which ensures that organizations continuously track and manage user identities across systems, promptly detecting unauthorized access attempts and unusual login behaviors. This control requires organizations to monitor user authentication activity, enforce multi-factor authentication (MFA), and investigate anomalies in user identity verification processes. A government agency implementing this control may utilize AI-driven identity verification tools to flag suspicious logging patterns, such as employees accessing sensitive systems from unusual locations or outside normal business hours. These controls can be adapted based on organizational size, industry, and security requirements. A small business may implement basic security monitoring, using manual access reviews and periodic security log audits to detect unauthorized activity. A large enterprise may deploy fully automated personnel security monitoring platforms, leveraging artificial intelligence, machine learning, and real-time behavioral analytics to track workforce security risks. Organizations operating in highly regulated industries, such as finance, healthcare, and critical infrastructure, may require continuous personnel security assessments, insider threat monitoring, and security audits to comply with industry regulations and national cybersecurity frameworks. Auditors assess personnel security monitoring by reviewing whether organizations have structured, proactive security monitoring systems in place to detect and mitigate personnel security risks. They evaluate whether organizations log, analyze, and investigate security events in real time, ensuring that unauthorized access, policy violations, and suspicious activities are identified and addressed promptly. If an organization fails to implement continuous monitoring or lacks a structured process for investigating security incidents, auditors may issue findings highlighting gaps in threat detection, lack of security policy enforcement, and increased exposure to insider threats. To verify compliance, auditors seek specific types of evidence. Security log records and real-time monitoring reports demonstrate that organizations track personnel activity, detect anomalies, and investigate suspicious incidents. Privileged access monitoring logs provide insights into whether organizations audit and control high-risk user activities, such as system administrators accessing critical databases. Security incident response documentation shows whether organizations have well-defined processes for responding to personnel security threats, investigating policy violations, and remediating insider risks. A compliance success scenario could involve a technology company that undergoes an audit and provides documented proof that all personnel activities are monitored, logged, and analyzed using automated security tools. Auditors confirm that employee and contractor access logs are regularly reviewed, security alerts are triggered for unauthorized access attempts, and insider threat detection policies are enforced consistently. In contrast, an organization that fails to monitor privileged users or lacks visibility into personnel security activity may receive audit findings for insufficient threat detection, unmanaged access risks, and weak insider threat mitigation policies. Organizations face multiple barriers in implementing effective personnel security monitoring. One major challenge is balancing security with privacy concerns, where employees may perceive security monitoring as intrusive, leading to resistance and potential legal challenges. Another challenge is lack of integration between security monitoring tools and existing IT infrastructure, making it difficult to correlate security events across multiple systems. A final challenge is limited resources and expertise, where organizations lack dedicated security teams or advanced threat detection tools, reducing their ability to proactively monitor personnel security risks. Organizations can overcome these barriers by adopting transparent security policies, implementing automated personnel security monitoring solutions, and integrating security monitoring into broader cybersecurity governance strategies. Investing in AI-driven threat detection platforms, real-time security event correlation tools, and user behavior analytics enables organizations to detect personnel security risks proactively and respond to threats before they escalate. Standardizing security monitoring policies across employees, contractors, and third-party personnel ensures that all workforce members are held to the same security standards, reducing insider risks and unauthorized access incidents. By embedding personnel security monitoring into continuous cybersecurity risk management, organizations can strengthen workforce security, prevent insider threats, and maintain regulatory compliance in an evolving threat landscape. That wraps up today's discussion on framework. Don't stop here. Head over to cyberauthor.me to explore more cybersecurity topics and discover a best-selling book covering NIST and other critical cyber frameworks. Please like, rate, and review this episode on Apple and Spotify. Until next time, remember that knowledge is power.